How you doing, everybody? I think we are all online at the moment. My name is Barry Dignam. My title, I guess, here is Vice Dean for the European University in IADT, which is the Institute of Art, Design and Technology in Dunleary in Ireland. I'm here with my colleague Radislav and Enya and a couple of people from admissions to talk to you a little bit about the Pathfinder joint BA. It's a little bit different from most of the programs that we run. So we'll go into a bit of details, and then I think after we've got a short presentation, and after we do the presentation, we can take as many of the questions as you like, and hopefully we'll be able to answer something. So let me just share this presentation. I always look like my dad when I'm trying to do this bit, trying to get the remote control on the television. So hopefully we've got there. Hopefully you're seeing this. So look, Pathfinder is, in a way, it's a whole new way of looking at film education. So IDT is part of this alliance called Film EU, which is a European university. And it's a European university for film, media arts, and I guess the wider creative industries. One of the big differences about this program and about the way we at Film EU look at education is that we're trying to put student choice right at the center of education. So in this program, we've built in mobility and it really a different way of looking at the world. So just a little bit about Film EU. It's made up of 8 higher education institutions. They're all really different types of film schools. And they've got different reputations and different strengths, but all pretty exceptional reputations. We're all part of this kind of worldwide film grouping called Select of the best film schools in the world. But as an alliance, we've come together to try and be better than the sum of our parts, especially using kind of our unique approaches as different film schools. So up until now and continuing, each of the film schools have separate film courses. So you will know in my school in IADT, we have a program in film, we've got a program in television and a number of other programs related. All of the other schools have that, and they're really highly respected. But last year we launched the very first intake of this program, Pathfinder. It's the world's first, in brackets, we think, joint international BA in film. And it's the first joint international European BA in the arts. And we'd be, I think, really excited and really interested if you'd consider joining the kind of adventure that we've started taking together. So why choose Pathfinder? I suppose it's a 3-year bachelor in film. For those of you, and if there's any parents online, it maps to the European qualifications framework at level 6, which is exactly the same in the Irish system as level 8, which is an honours bachelor's degree. It's the same degree that you get from Trinity or UCD or even IADT, normal, regular kind of IADT. And for all of the other schools, it also maps to their national version of a bachelor's degree. And we're all part of Film EU, which means that you have access to the teachers and the facilities across 8 different institutions. But the 4 different institutions that are part at the moment of this joint BA are the University of Lusofana. Actually, I'm going to come to that in a later slide, so I'm going to skip that for the moment. So I suppose the biggest difference in Pathfinder is that while it begins sort of like any traditional film degree that you learn kind of basic craft, directing, cinematography, editing, and so on, you then really decide the type of film program that you want to do after that. Because in first year you start in one city, and you can choose that city, so you can have a look at what the different schools seem like. In second year, you choose and you spend the second year in a different institution. So if you decide that you want to be, let's say, a really, really commercial movie maker, you can choose one school. If you think that you want to be much more on the kind of art scale of things, then you can choose a different school. So it gives a choice that there probably isn't in a kind of a regular film program that you would have to choose one or choose the other. We have an unusual hybrid teaching model as well. So about 50% of the classes that you would do in a week will be in person, in classroom with a teacher there. But the other 50% of it is hybrid with your colleagues from across the 4 different sites and teachers from across the 4 different sites. So you're not really you know, sometimes when we think of hybrid, we think of you're at home in your bedroom with the screen. You're not really doing that so much. You're in university, you're in a classroom with your classmates, but the teacher might be in a different city, and some of your other classmates might be in a different city. You get to come together at different points, and you get to change that up. But that's the sort of model that we're working on. The partner institutions in this joint BA is Lusofana University in a very sunny Portugal. We always like finding that our trips are taking us there. And then we've got Lucas School of Arts, which is in Brussels, in cosmopolitan Brussels. Uh, NATFA, which is in Sofia in Bulgaria. And Sofia is a super, really interesting, up and coming, young, vibrant, cosmopolitan city on the way up. And then you got kind of, I suppose, rainy Dublin. Just looking out the window today, it's pretty rainy. But as we all know, or those of you who know Dublin, you can know that it's pretty much great crack. So you kind of choose where you start the program in an ideal world, and then you choose where you spend second year, and then you'll come back in the third year. We all have different strengths and different facilities, so you can get on each of our websites and have a sense of what each of those schools look like. So some of the kind of key facts. Actually, I'm handing over to Radislav for this slide.
Yes, thank you. So basically, as we're getting deeper into the experience itself, here you can see some key facts at a glance. Basically, Pathfinder is a 3-year full-time joint bachelor's degree in film, and it is structured around 6 semesters. One of the things that makes this degree special is that it is not owned by just one institution, but as Barry said, it is jointly delivered as well by several leading European film and art schools. And we are kind of working together under the FilmEU European University framework. And another really important point is that the language of instruction across the entire program is English. So regardless of which country you're studying in, all teaching and all collaboration and the assessment as well is happening in English, which is making the program fully accessible to international students. If you could switch to the next slide, Barry, thank you. So this slide basically gets to the heart of what Pathfinder is about, which is movement and collaboration and choice. So in year 1, you start at your chosen institution, and these are the aforementioned Lusofana University in Portugal and Lucas School of Arts in Belgium and IADT in Ireland and NATFA in Bulgaria. So this first institution becomes kind of your academic home base, where you build your foundations and you get to know your cohort, both locally and abroad, and kind of settle into university life. During the first semester, you focus on building core, like the fundamentals, core filmmaking skills, and you're getting oriented within your local context. And then in the second semester, something quite unique happens. Basically, all Pathfinder students from all partner institutions come together in one country for an intensive collaborative film project. This is something we call a blended intensive program, or a BIP. It is a collaborative experience where students from different countries and cultures and film traditions are working all together on a shared project. So this is very much like an international film set. And you're not just learning filmmaking, but you're also learning on how to work across borders together. Then in year 2, you move to a different partner institution. And let me stress that this mobility is kind of built into the curriculum, and it is not optional. So this means a new country and a new cultural environment, and of course, a new academic perspective on film. This mobility is a core part of the program, and it is not an add-on. And it is designed to expand how you think about storytelling and about creative practice. And then in year 3, you have 3 options. You can return to your original starting institution, which is the choice we provide assistance with and consider the usual choice for our students. Secondly, you can remain at the university you spent your second year in. Or option 3, if you want to kind of push your international experience even further, you can choose to study at a third partnering institution. All of this, of course, depending on availability. So this allows you to really tailor your educational path based on your interests and on your creative goals and the environments that probably suit you best. So yeah, that's about it. Let's look now, yeah, thank you, about what you actually study throughout the 3 years, because Pathfinder is very deliberately structured to grow within you, with you as a filmmaker. So in year one, the focus is on the foundations. You work on foundational kind of core filmmaking skills and explore where stories come from through nonfiction practices, through storytelling origins, world cinema, European cinema, and sustainable filmmaking. The idea here is to ground you technically and creatively and ethically, while also at the same time exposing you to cinema that is beyond any certain any single national tradition. Then in year two, the curriculum becomes more exploratory and more forward-looking, and you start engaging with new ways of seeing and telling stories, and the relationship between technology and creativity, and of course, the business side of film. So this is where students begin to understand film, not just as an art form, but as an industry and as an evolving kind of media ecosystem. And then in year three, everything is coming together, and you move into capstone modules such as artistic research and co-production and distribution and advanced craft skills, and ultimately your graduation project, which is a big part of it. And this final year is mostly about defining your voice as a filmmaker and producing work that reflects both your creative identity and your now accumulated international experience. And across all 3 years, there is a very strong practical emphasis. You'll be using industry standard tools and working in these international teams and developing portfolio level projects that are preparing you for the professional practice or further study, of course. And I want to emphasize something here that is probably evident from the entirety of the forward-thinking profile of the program, that it is our goal not just to produce competent filmmakers, but also these flexible artists who can easily adjust their now comprehensive skill set to the possible, I'd say probable, changes to the technological landscape of a filmmaker's toolkit. We find that this cultural mindset is the way to think about the field and people working in it in perspective. Yeah. With all of that being said, I'm throwing it back to Barry to lead us into careers and student experience.
Thanks, Radoslav. So as we said, this is a pretty unique course, which brings its own challenges, both for the staff and the students. So because the students will be living and studying in different countries, I think as a student, you need to think about whether you're whether you're adaptable, whether you have a wanderlust, whether you want to get out and see the world, because there's always challenges with that. You'll find yourself living in a country that you don't know much about, but there is support. So IADT are the lead partner of this consortium. So we've got a team, and Enya's on the call to try and help and support people along their way. But in each of the institutions, there's a certain amount of support services. If you're having difficulties or you just need somebody to talk to, there's different supports there. I think it's also important to point out that the Alliance has a lot of experience on joint masters. So we've run for a good number of years Erasmus Mundus joint masters, and that has had a lot of students on the move. So we've got quite a lot of experience in dealing with visas and accommodation and stuff like that. But I'm not saying it's easy. That will be complicated, but the skills you will learn in that are also the skills that you will kind of use for the rest of your life to a certain extent. Um, I will point out all of the universities and institutes that are part of this program are all fully Erasmus, are full members of Erasmus. So students are eligible for the second year in particular to apply for Erasmus scholarships. They are competitive, but our students tend to be extremely successful in securing those Erasmus scholarships. So that can be kind of factored in the overall plan of things. So just on some of the kind of nuts and bolts. So you need to submit online an application by the 1st of February 2026. And this is by Ireland's CAO because IADT is the lead partner. We apply through the Careers Applications Office, Central Applications Office. I can see one of the admissions people are probably screaming at me in the background. And then everybody has to do a portfolio and submit a portfolio by the 1st of March. For non-EEA or EU students, normally it's past the deadline now, but if it's next year you're looking at, non-EU students have an opportunity to have an earlier deadline because particularly in, let's say if we look at Australia, they're in a flip term time, so they finish their kind of school, their high school earlier. So we have a separate application from those. But if you're EU, this is the top line. It's the 1st of February application and portfolios of the 1st of March. A portfolio is required. It's a digital portfolio. It's showcasing creative work, storytelling, technical skills. And each student that is eligible, that scores high enough, will be invited to an interview. An interview is for lots of different reasons. It's not like a job interview. It's a kind of a two-way street. One, to make sure that you know what you're getting into. And also we can answer questions on a one-to-one level. The minimum portfolio and interview scoring is 400 points out of 1,000 to be eligible. The reality is the points will most likely be higher than that. We never know. Each year, it's by the quality of the applications dictates the ceiling. And as this program is pretty new, it's going to take a few years to settle in. But the interesting thing, particularly if you're a student from Ireland, is that the majority of the points of this come from portfolio and interview. Very little comes from the Leaving Cert. So if you're used to looking at having to get 400, 500, 600 points in the Leaving Certificate or your equivalent of high school, that's less important. There's a minimum threshold of high school equivalents that you have to have, which I'm absolutely not going to talk about because clearly it's a long time since I've done a high school exam, but the admissions guys who are on the call will be able to help with that. But it is kind of different because if you're like me, I was the sort of person that was really good at doing the portfolio stuff, pretty awful at doing the high school exams. This would have suited me a lot better, and I might have got to college a lot sooner if that was the case. In terms of tuition and funding, the fees are set because Ireland is the lead. We set the fees in the Irish, which is actually somewhere kind of in the middle to low of the range of our partner institutions. So students, Irish, EU, UK, and EEA students who are eligible for the Free Fees Initiative, their fees for this year were 2,500. Students who aren't eligible, so if you've already maybe done a degree course at that level or you're undertaking a repeat year, admissions will be able to answer these questions a bit better. The fees are a little bit higher. And then for non-EU students, the undergraduate program fee is 13,500 per year. Again, I'm definitely not the person to answer those questions, but we have admissions on standby if you need to add that. I will point out that the fees, there are changes depending on the level of support in the Irish government every year. So they're not confirmed until spring 2026. They tend not to change massively, and we're not really expecting any massive change. So a little bit on the career path. So I'm going to tell you a little secret. I taught film for 20 something years, and I would do the careers days, and parents would come up to me and say, is there really a career in film? And maybe 15 years ago, I had to kind of spoof a little bit and say, yeah, of course there is. But actually, the film and television and related industries across Europe are pretty much booming. There's tons of employment out there. Is everybody going to be a director and win an Academy Award? Absolutely not. But there are millions of different types of careers, both directly in film, in television, in wider media. but also the skills that you learn in a program like this actually set you up for a million other jobs that we can't even think of listing, because you learn all about cooperation, all about project management, all about creativity. So if I was having that conversation with a parent today, I would go, to be honest, and I'm biased, but to be honest, your kids are better off in a program like this than they maybe are in a standard arts degree, or similar. I'm not going to badmouth arts degrees, but actually things have changed over the years. So you're equipped for roles directly in the film business. And also the international development of this is going to really give you a head start in terms of international co-production. And also there's tons and tons of extra opportunities in terms of master level with even the Erasmus Mundus degrees that we offer at master's level, but lots of other institutions offer masters and indeed PhD level within practice-based arts as well. A couple of frequently asked questions. Do you need to know more than one language? I can only speak English, to my shame, and I could do this program no problem, because the teachers that teach on it are all probably better English speakers than I am. Certainly, they don't speak as fast. The program is taught in English. You aren't required to know any other language. You don't have to have perfect English. There's standards, but it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. But we do hope that you will learn some of the language of the cities that you live in, that you won't just stay in English the whole time. So we would hope that by osmosis, multilingualism will pop in there as well, and we'll try and help with that as well. How are assessments handled? We have a standardized assessment process across all the partner institutions. We're very, very keen in FilmEU that that's fair and transparent. It's sometimes difficult for the teachers, because the teachers have been working within their own context for a number of years, sometimes lots of years. But actually, they've really embraced this way of kind of co-teaching, co-assessment. Mobility costs and visas. So it's really important to know that students are responsible for their own relocation and travel beyond the Erasmus scholarship for the second year that we would hope that some, if not all, of the students will be eligible for. It's important to point out that non-EU students, and this includes, unfortunately, thanks to Brexit, this also includes UK students. If you are traveling to a country, you need to research the visa requirements, and even before you get a place, you need to check that out and have your ducks in order, because the visas are kind of outside of our control. They're outside of educational control and outside of Erasmus control. They're set by each individual country. So there's a bit of work in looking at a visa. And I will say this now, just for the sake of saying it, it'll probably mean nothing to you, but Ireland is not part of Schengen. So all our partners in Europe are part of Schengen, which means if you've got residency in one country, you can travel to the other. Ireland has a common travel arrangement with the United Kingdom, which means that residents and the passport holders from Ireland and the UK travel back and forth. So that complicates things slightly. So if you are thinking of picking your cities, do some research on visas. Can you choose where you study in year 2 and 3? Absolutely. You express your preferences. Obviously, we need to make sure that there's a balance of students across. So not everybody maybe will get their first preference, but there's a number of choices, and we'll do our very best for people to get their first preference. Where to find out more? We have a dedicated website at filmeu.eu/Pathfinder, or it's linked from the IADT Pathfinder page. It's linked from all over the place, or just search IADT Pathfinder or FilmEU Pathfinder. There's a specific email address for queries on this program, which is pathfinder@iadt.ie, or indeed you can email filmeu@iadt.ie, but Pathfinder will get to the right people quicker. You can follow us on social media on @filmeu.university, and all of the local schools will also have promotional materials and some local specific information on the program. Okay, how to apply for the EU. European Union applications have to apply through the Central Applications Office in Ireland, which is cao.ie. It's unusual that you have to apply through Ireland if you're not from Ireland, but it's just the way we have to do it. There are a number of different program codes. So DL860, DL859, DL858, DL857, they're all exactly the same program, but you need to select the choice where you want to start, the preference. Whatever preference you're putting Pathfinder as, you need to start with the city that you'd like to go to first. There's absolutely nothing to stop you putting all of those course codes in the order that you wish, or one or two. That's completely up to you. I think you've altogether 10 CAO different possibilities. So if you use up four, you're not using up too many. You've lots of other choices there. You will study across the multiple partners over the years, but that CAO course decides your home institution, what we call home, even though you may not be from that country. Uh, I think I've covered all of that. There's a video walkthrough here. I think this presentation we can make available to you. It's also linked. There's also all this information will be on the Pathfinder website. If you're not from the European Union, so non-EU students can apply directly to IADT and don't have to submit via the CAO codes. There's more information in the application on IADT admissions website. There's a link in this, but you can't get the link. But again, it'll all be on the IADT. The admissions guys can pipe in a little bit at the end and tell us if I've said anything wrong, which I may have done. Tons of information on the Pathfinder website, tons of information on the IADT website. So look, at the end of this presentation, we want to thank you for coming and thank you for your interest. And I think we'll probably try and open it up for questions as I try and stop sharing my screen and hopefully don't cut myself off.
Hi Barry, this is Robin from the admissions office. I just want to come in. I know Barry mentioned that this program does things a little bit differently in terms of how the points are allocated. The full total points are only from your portfolio. So when you get a score out of 1,000, that is your total score. There are no scores given for your academic results. You just need to meet the minimum academic entry requirements. So I've put in the comments what that means in Irish Leaving Certificate language and results. If you're from another country and you want to know what that means in your qualifications terms, there's a document linked there. So for example, if you're French, it will say what 2H5s mean in your baccalaureate terms. So if you want to look at that and if questions come up after, you can throw us an email. We're more than happy to answer, but just to say the points are only made up from your portfolio score, and once you meet the academic entry requirements, your offer is made solely on your portfolio score, which is nice. It's different, as you say, Barry. It's completely different to any of our other programs where it's a combination. So any other programs with a portfolio, it's 50-50. It's your portfolio score and your academic score put together in combinations. It's the only program that we have that's different.
Thanks, Robin. So I'm not quite sure how we take questions on this. Are they chats or are they people put up their hands? Help, Robin.
It's chats. They can put it in the chat. Sometimes people can be a little bit nervous to put something in the chat, but please feel free to put it in the chat now, or if you want to send us an email later, that's fine as well. They are all on mute and their cameras are off as
Sure.
part of the spotlight session, but anyone can put a comment in the chat box. So we're happy to answer any. And if there are none, we can also just end early and you can email us any questions you have if they occur to you afterwards.
Yes, and we can take the compliment that we were comprehensive enough.
Let's give it a minute though, because I do know I think some people can get a little bit shy. And one thing I will say to you is that no question is a stupid question in this situation, because I guarantee you, if you've got the question, someone else has the question. We've tried to be as comprehensive as we can. Can the interviews be done online? The interviews are done online. Thanks, Diana. So after you submit your portfolio, you'll get, if you score high enough, you'll get an invitation to an interview. The interview, because it will be done by staff from across the Alliance, will be online. But I really do want to stress, these aren't job interviews. They shouldn't be scary interviews. They should actually be kind of nice conversations about what you want to do. So when sometimes people hear the word interview and it's kind of a bit scary, nobody bites. It is about you and about what you might want to do. What would you recommend for? Okay, what should be? Vladislav, do you want to take that one? What should be in a portfolio?
Of course, of course. So I would say there are three main criteria by which we judge the portfolios. One is the merit of the pieces that are included, which is rather straightforward. Secondly, what we're looking for is people we want to teach. So in a way, enthusiasm and kind of honesty and an eagerness to learn are all positives, and those can all kind of exude from the portfolio itself. And thirdly, something that is well, let's say it is creating an inclination towards the negative, is if the portfolio itself is very hastily put together. So please, if applying for the program, take your time and tailor your portfolio towards this international collaborative profile. Because obviously something that is just 3 films uploaded and no motivational letter, no link between them, no kind of social commentary, no European influences, etc. Obviously, this might not be the program for you. And in a way, the motivational letter or video or whatever format you decide to put it in is giving us kind of a tectonic idea of where exactly you see yourself and how exactly you perceive yourself in this international cinema kind of film context.
I'd also say, I mean, it's always just from a basic point of view. It's good to have a film. It's good to have made something. So you know, really, for a portfolio, for a film program, you need to have made a film. We don't care what you've shot it on. We're not looking for high production values. We're kind of looking that you're interested. We're looking that you're interested, that you are kind of expressing yourself to a certain extent within that film. I think what's very important is that if you submit like a lot of work that maybe you have done work on, you have to tell us what that work is. So sometimes, you know, if you've acted in it, that's for an acting course. It's not really for a film course. So really get your phone out, do a bit of prep, get shooting some stuff. Again, we're not really worried about production value. You don't need to have a big budget on it. We're just interested in you having, I guess, a voice. Can you submit the same material for certainly an IADT to the regular IADT film program as well as Pathfinder? Absolutely. But I think what Radislav was kind of saying as well is that you maybe need to kind of contextualize a little bit more for the European approach in the specific portfolio that you submit for Pathfinder. The material can be the same, but how you talk about it might be slightly different depending on the program. And there's lots of material on the IATT website about what should be in a portfolio. It's always, you know, it's quality over quantity. Don't throw everything at the kitchen sink. We have about 10 or 15 minutes to look at your particular material, direct us to the best stuff. But also you can within the paperwork that you might submit around it, you might say what you didn't think is great and what you would change, because part of the thing we're looking for is students who are really interested to learn. So I'm going to try and go. There's a couple more questions that we should.
Sorry, just something else to mention. Last year we had applications that were basically from complete artists, people who have been working in the industry for decades and have created numerous, in that specific case, commercials. And this is the thing that the person specialized in. And in the interview phase, they mentioned that they actually only have an interest in working still in commercials. Obviously, this is a program that is highlighting the telling of stories more so than kind of this piecemeal artworks. And this is something to keep in mind as well. And I see we have another question, whether or not we have dormitories on the campuses. So something I can tell you is that NATFA, as far as I know currently, is the only campus that offers places in their dormitories to accepted students. And seeing as the national standard in Bulgaria is, let's say, financially viable, and the dormitories even more so. But Barry, maybe you want to mention something about accommodation as well.
Yeah,
There's
no,
just
I mean,
limited accommodation. Sorry, there's just limited accommodation available in Portugal, but most of the students in Portugal find their own accommodation as well.
I think each country, I think with the exception, I suspect, at the moment of Bulgaria, we all have issues in terms of housing,
Yeah.
so it is difficult. We have we have some support in the Students' Union, but we also have networks of students who kind of tell each other where's becoming available and stuff like that. But I will say I'd love to have a magic wand to solve the housing situation and to build 300 apartments on campus. We don't have that at the moment in most, except for NATFA, which does have accommodation. So I'm going to go down through some of the other questions. Deadlines we've answered. Yeah, the submission question has been answered as well, in terms of it's directly through the portfolio submission for IADT. Yeah, I think we've answered all of them. So now is your time to ask a last question, if you have one.
One popped up, whether or not they can have access to the presentation at a later stage. Realistically, all of this information that we are currently sharing is upon the IDT website and the Pathfinder page, and I'm sure you can orient yourself there. Unfortunately, this session isn't being recorded, and as for the advertising materials of which this presentation is part, maybe someone else can answer whether or not this could be disseminated.
I think, to be honest, most of the information will be on the website. Levi, I think that the question about the presentation, it's submit the online application by the 1st of February, and then the portfolio deadline is the 1st of March. And I'm hoping Robin will shout at me if I'm wrong.
Yes, that is wrong. It's the 10th of March.
10th of March. Okay, extra 10 days.
I will say, absolutely everybody who applies to this program and any other program with a portfolio is going to get numerous emails from the admissions office with absolutely all information that you need to know about the portfolio. So don't feel like you need to remember this. I guarantee there will be multiple emails reminding you of the deadline, where to apply, where to get guidance, guidelines, how many pieces to include, the format of submission. We will absolutely tell you everything by email. So do not worry about the dates, but it is all on the website. So don't be afraid to go onto the IDT website. Okay.
I can see there's a question from Johnny about screenwriting. So screenwriting is absolutely part of this program, but I would say to you, if screenwriting is all you want to do, then you're going to find it a little bit difficult, because you will also be expected, certainly in first year, to be shooting, editing, directing. It's not a pure screenwriting program. There are very few undergraduate programs that are just pure screenwriting, but absolutely you can kind of radiate, that is the wrong word. You can move towards screenwriting as a speciality throughout your 3 years. And there's absolutely, for instance, if you wanted to absolutely specialize, you go do after the program, you could do an MA in screenwriting at IADT or in one of the other partner institutions, or apply for Kino-Eyes, which is an Erasmus Mundus Joint Master, and you could apply with a specialty of screenwriting.
Sorry, just something to mention. Here at NATFA, our regular students, as in our normal bachelors, not in Pathfinder, in their first year, even screenwriting students are required to kind of get the fundamentals and the core filmmaking principles and to do that, they need to have an empirical basis. So they're constantly in practical tasks and constantly shooting films, etc. So the idea behind that is knowing what the process is like in detail gives you way better insight in how to write your scripts. So this is something to consider as well. As Barry said, this is more so to give you this kind of forward-thinking, flexible artistry that you can then continue building upon in your masters.
Johnny, I have no idea which is the strongest one for training in screenwriting. So I'm not going to answer that question. But if I guessed, I would say maybe IADT and NAFA. But that's just a guess. Because we're here. There's also, can you apply without having the certificate yet? I'm going to ask Robin to answer that one. I know the answer, but she'll have a better answer.
So if you're talking about if you haven't finished high school yet, absolutely. So to give you some information about how it works in Ireland, Irish students don't sit their final exams called the Leaving Cert until June, and they don't get their results until August. So the 1st of February is only that you're on the CAO or international application form and that you've submitted your course choices. When you have your final year results, when you have access to them, then you can upload them onto the CAO or send them to us by email. You do not have to be finished high school at this stage, because the students from Ireland won't be. So do not worry about that. That's why the two important dates of March and February. 1st of February is literally you have a CAO number and you've submitted your course choices. That's it. That's all you need to do. And then the 10th of March is that you've submitted your portfolio. That is all you need to do at that stage.
Obviously, you need to be doing your exams this year. If you're doing your exams in 3 years' time,
school.
hang on a little bit. Yeah, you need to be finishing high school. Sorry about that.
Something to mention to that effect is that, as Barry said, you need to look into the visa situation and as to the enrollment criteria in different schools, because the certificate is required for both of those. So maybe there is a delay process, and this is something to keep in mind as well.
I'll answer the question a little bit in terms of the portfolio length, and Robin has made the comment about kind of guaranteeing 5 minutes. It's not about quantity. It's not about throwing lots and lots and lots. But if you do have a film that's longer, and you know that there's a section that's better of it, edit that. You can also, if you want, you can throw a show reel in as well. If you've done lots of stuff, you can edit together a show reel, and we'll probably have a look at that too. But really what we're interested in seeing is kind of 5 minutes of a, in an ideal world, of a single piece that's really good. You can put more material on. We'll dig into it if we have time. But really, if you think of that kind of 5 minutes as being the 5 minutes that we're just concentrating on you and you alone.
To the portfolio, just to add, something that we saw and I feel like isn't being recommended enough in portfolio submissions is if you have a film you like and you consider yourself capable of insightful critical analysis of that piece, you could edit scenes from that film with voiceover out of yourself, and this could be something you submit as well, because it shows your capability of critical thinking and of analysis and of best practices, kind of cherry picking, etc. So this is something that we would consider as well.
Levi, is 100-word critical analysis too long for each piece? Not really. I mean, we won't necessarily get to read every word, but we get the gist. I mean, I think it is interesting for us to see you being critical of your own work. It doesn't mean you have to be hypercritical, saying, "Oh my God, it's terrible, I hate it," but it's actually what I would do differently next time, or if I knew that then, what I would do. Because really, we definitely need to know that you're interested in learning. So sometimes film school is not for everyone. Somebody who decides I'm an amazing filmmaker, I'm going to be, the next whatever, Scorsese or whatever, I don't need anyone commenting. That's film school's not for you. Get out and start making films and let the world decide whether you were right or not. But if you know that you've got things that you need to learn before you get out for those Academy Awards, then film school's probably for you. No worries. It's okay. We'll give it another couple of seconds, and if no more questions come up, then we'll wrap it up for a cold and windy evening. I recognise it's nearly 8 p.m. for Radislav, because it's interesting working across different time zones. I think that seems like the questions are up. So look, I just want to thank Radislav, thank Enya, thank Sean and Robin and all of you guys who I can't see your faces. I can just see letters that you're there. Thanks a million for coming. And I would say, look, I don't teach on this program. I'm kind of over the film EU. I absolutely would have loved to have done this program when I was leaving high school. I would have absolutely gobbled it up. So I really would suggest you have a close look at it. And I won't say I'm not allowed to say what preference to put it, but I will say that it's a really interesting program to do. The students are really interesting, and you should definitely think about making it part of your future. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Good luck with your applications.
Yep.
Good luck.